Hey everyone, Jordan here from Cinelinks.com. I recently had the chance to go hands-on with Private Divisions and Take-Two Interactive's all-new Cozy Life Sim, Tales of the Shire, the Lord of the Rings game, and I wanted to share some of my initial thoughts with you guys. Now, most people know I'm big on farming and life sim games. You know, everything from, Harvest Moon to Rune Factory, Stardew Valley, and most recently, Fae Farm. I just can't seem to get enough of them. I'll combine that with Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, and Tales of the Shire was pretty much immediately on my radar when it was announced. Honestly, I think it's crazy it's taken this long for someone to figure out that the lifestyle of hobbits in Middle-earth is perfectly suited to this genre of game. But I'm glad someone finally did. They were kind enough to give me a chance to get my hands on it for, an in-progress build of the game. It was, only a short demo, about, hour and a half, so I wasn't able to do everything I wanted to do, but I got a good feel for the game and how it's shaping up, and I wanted to share some thoughts with you. It sticks to the cozy formula pretty closely. It's very basic. Like so many of these cozy games, you find yourself as a newcomer looking to settle in and put down roots. This time around, you're taking on the role of a hobbit within the Shire, and you're given a chance to customize your character right off the bat. There are actually some neat options in the character creator here that lets you play around with them. You can even go so far as to adjust the hair on the feet of your hobbit, which seems weird, but in game, in universe, is pretty cool. Regardless, don't worry too much about getting things just right at this point. You're able to change your entire appearance in the game, from how you look to what you're wearing, all in your wardrobe later on, so don't feel like you're locked into something here. Now, in the game, you'll be residing in the little village of Bywater. It's a sleepy backwater place in the Shire, which is trying to be established as a legitimate village. Now, like I said, while I haven't gotten too far into the overall story, this seems to be the crux of what the story and the main goal is for your character. You're going to build up the town, improve the overall place, and get it to the point where the Shire, all the hobbits, recognizes Bywater for the village it is. I was only able to get through a few days of actual in-game time. Now, that said, I was pretty happy with what I played. By and large, it feels like your typical life sim game. There's introductory missions to get you talking to all the townsfolk. You get your initial plot of land to farm and harvest. You get used to the regular day and night cycle that you have to keep track of. All the stuff that you're used to in a farming game is there, but there are a few specific things that I want to mention in this hands-on preview. First up, mechanics. Tales of the Shire feels instantly familiar for anyone who's played these types of games before. How it handles mapping the tools and interactions to all the buttons is very intuitive. Within just a few minutes, I was able to swap between all my tools, inspect things, chat with other hobbits, and I didn't really have to think about it. In a lot of ways, it's really nice to be able to just pick up the game and feel like I already know what I'm doing from the outset. Next, let's talk about getting around. Bywater, for what it is, manages to feel pretty large at the beginning. There's definitely a lot for players to explore. There's fields and stuff that you're gonna forage through. There's ponds and brooks and all that stuff that you can explore. There's lots of little things you can find as you go, and of course people living in different parts of it too. Now, that said, I'm not really thrilled with the game's built-in guidance system. It's weird. Instead of giving you like an arrow or a marker pointing you towards your pin location, you have to follow these birds around who fly around, landing on signposts and walls, and it's just confusing. For one, it's tough to see these damn birds to begin with. They blend into the backgrounds, and the moment you take a wrong turn, they fly away to adjust to the new path. So you're not really sure if you're on the right path or you took a wrong turn and now it's a new path. While it should be a good thing, in practice it just makes the experience a little more chaotic. I found myself continually referencing the map and making sure I was going where I wanted to go every few steps. Speaking of, the map itself is actually pretty solid and helpful when it comes to finding townspeople. It really helps, it gives you a schedule of where the people are at different times, so it makes it easier to track them down, which is something I actually dinged Fae Farm for back when I reviewed it when it released, because this map is not great. Anyway, even with as good a map as it is, I still found myself getting turned around because of the bird system. I think it's a neat idea, and it fits with all the in-world aesthetic that they're going for. But in terms of gameplay, it's going to take some getting used to. Now let's talk about fishing. What's a cozy game without fishing? Nothing. That's what. Tales of the Shire gives you plenty of opportunity to fish in the various streams and ponds that you're going to find along your way. I really enjoyed how the mechanics of it work here. It's not entirely dissimilar to other games in the genre, but it manages to put a fun twist on things, mostly because with one hand you have to wear the fish out with one of the thumbsticks, while simultaneously reeling it in with one of the trigger buttons, and you have to balance, the tension on the line and all that stuff. It's not exactly revolutionary, but it's a really fun take on this classic mechanic, and I had a blast with it. Let's talk about cooking. This is a really big focus of the game, as Hobbits are built pretty much entirely around food. I mean, from the outset, characters in the game straight up tell you that the best way to make friends and settle your disputes are through meals. So throughout the game, you can actually plan big dinners, invite people over. As such, the cooking mechanics go a little beyond what the normal is for these type of cozy sim games. It almost breaks every part of it down into mini games. Like, you have to actually prepare your ingredients. So it's not just grabbing the ingredients from your fields. You have to prepare them by cutting them up, and you can actually adjust if you want to cut them chunky or smooth. And of course, the better ingredients that you have, the more delicious your dish turns out, which impacts your status with other people. On the whole, it's just a cool concept that ties directly into everything you know and love about the Hobbits. Now, I wasn't really able to prep a whole bunch of meals in my short amount of playtime, and the ones I did do were fairly basic. But I can see how the mechanic can be expanded as you progress further into the game and get really intense. And I'm really interested to see what some of those bigger meals can end up being. There's a lot of potential there, but even as big as it is, I think it's simple enough that if that's not a thing you want to focus on, like if you want to focus on just the farming and stuff like that, it's simple enough that you can still get through it and get to the stuff you want to do. Speaking of, let's talk about farming and decor. Sadly, I really wasn't able to play around as much with the overall farming and decoration aspects of the game. Now, those are typically the things I enjoy most in this genre of game, but in the early stages of it, you're still, it takes a while to get set up. I did plant some stuff, and from what I played, it seems very similar to the hybrid style of gameplay we got with Fae Farm last year. It's almost like that mix between Harvest Moon farming mechanics and the Animal Crossing ability to decorate and move stuff around however you want. Now, I definitely dig that approach, but I need a little more hands-on time to see how it's really handled here. But so far, I think it's on the right path. Now, overall, I really enjoyed my limited playtime with Tales of the Shire. Even though it's not necessarily breaking the mold for this type of game, it feels exactly like the cozy Hobbit game fans have been wanting for a long time. While there are still some issues I'd like to see tweaked before it releases, my time in the game definitely has me eager for more, and I cannot wait until I can live my best Hobbit life for as long as I want to. Now, Tales of the Shire, the Lord of the Rings game, is set to arrive on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, Nintendo Switch, and PCs on March 25th, 2025. I hope you enjoyed today's breakdown. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and tell all your friends about it. Until next time, keep it tuned here to Cinelinks.com for all your movie, gaming, and geek-related needs.